It's nice to be with you on a Sunday night and not be talking about a Manchester United defeat. First time it's happened this season.
Yeah, give it 24 hours. Actually, we still won't be beaten. It'll only kick off, won't it? But we will start off with Manchester United, and what a week it's been. Lots to talk about. I want to talk about Chelsea in the last week and a half of the window. Everybody's played 3 games now. Now is the time. If you're going to go for a late bit of business, now is the time. But let's start off with Manchester United. A week ago, we were talking about bids for Rabiot and, who was it, Arnautovic?
Yeah.
We've now bought Casemiro, and we're bidding 100 million euros for Anthony, and have got a backup plan for 50 million euros, Gakpo. What's going on at Manchester United, Alex? What can we expect to happen over the next few days, and where's the money come from?
I think it's going to be frenetic. I was told a week or so ago to expect Manchester United to bring in up to 5 players in the final couple of weeks of the window. In answer to where has the money come from, I think it's always been there. The Glazers just didn't want to spend it. And the reason they're spending it is because there's talk of a hostile takeover, which I think is really gathering momentum. Most Manchester United fans are behind that idea. There's going to be a big protest outside Old Trafford tomorrow. I think it will be the biggest protest against the ownership probably that has ever been staged. I hope it's staged in the right way. I should just say that. We don't want to see repeats of the last time that United fans protested before they played Liverpool, breaking into the stadium and getting the match postponed. We want the game to go ahead tomorrow night. But I don't think we should be fooled by this. This is not the Glazers suddenly deciding that they're going to fund the club and get them back to top 4 and challenging for trophies. This is money that has been generated by the football club. It's not the Glazers dipping into their own pocket. It's money that they were holding back, thinking that they would be able to get away with it and that Manchester United could suddenly start competing with the likes of Tottenham and Arsenal without spending significant money. And the reason they're spending now is partly because they've made such a dreadful start to the season. Senior players, as I understand it, have gone to the board directly and pleaded for them to back Ten Hag. And it's partly because they don't want to be forced into selling the football club.
Yeah. No, I completely agree. And I think, as Alex said, there is a protest tomorrow, 7 p.m. outside Old Trafford near the Trinity. I think they start at 5:30 at the Tollgate pub and they march down at 7. If you're going to be there or you want to be there, they're the details. And I do think it's really important, like Alex said, that United fans get on board with this. And I agree with Alex that the funds for this, a week ago, you're bidding for Rabiot and Arnautovic. A week later, £200 million appears. Coincidentally, Casemiro was never a target for Manchester United. Suddenly he is. Why? Because Sir Jim Radcliffe and others suddenly would say, I will buy Manchester United and I'll buy it and I'll run it like a football club. I won't do it for profit. And the Glazers do what they did a year ago. We never should have let them off after the Super League. They were running. They were worried. They got to the summer. They did a Zoom call. They bought Jadon Sancho. It all died down and they got away. The difference for me this time, Alex, is that we have a viable... I've never been I've not been anti-protest. I think protests are fantastic, but I've always been a bit like, I don't think it'll work because the Glazers have been here 17 years. What gets me excited this time and makes me very determined is that these people are parasites. We all know that. They've drained the money. They've maintained the debt. They don't have interest in how the club runs. I think they are spending money because they are scared. It is blood money. They want to stay in charge of the football club. So they've gone, I know, these Man United fans are mugs. Let's spend £200 million. They'll be buying Casemiro shirts. They'll be buying Anthony shirts. But for me, what makes the big difference here is we have a viable option. When you've got an owner, they're not an owner yet, but when you've got somebody that's better than the Glazers and they want to buy the club and you've got the protests, then suddenly you've got a real opportunity to move these people out. And I think that is why they're now spending big, because they're terrified of what's to come. I know for a fact the Super League, so many United fans came together, different groups that maybe wouldn't normally. They did come together. I was very aware of that. And the Glazers were worried. And we lost that opportunity. The fire went out for whatever reason. Maybe we learned from that. But I don't think the fire goes out this time. And I know it's hard for external fans to understand it. They'll say you've spent £1 billion, but we could have spent £2.5 billion because they've taken about £1.5 billion out of us with dividends and debt repayments and everything like that. It's very much a Manchester United fan. It's our problem to solve. I don't really care what Chelsea or Arsenal fans say. It's our problem to solve. We've got a viable option, and I think it needs to be pushed by everybody. And whether you've been on the fence or what in the past, this is an opportunity, Alex. I really think it is.
Yeah, and you're right to mention the Super League, because I think out of all the English clubs that got swept along with that idea, the Glazers are probably the owners who've shown the least contrition so far. There were promises of meeting fans groups and reinvesting in the stadium after that to try and appease the supporters. None of that has really happened. And if you look at Arsenal, for example, I was outside the Emirates Stadium when their fans were protesting against the Cronkies.
Yeah.
And they were big protests, bigger than I expected when I was sent there by talkSPORT. And their response has been to back Mikel Arteta, back that process that he keeps telling Arsenal fans to trust. Yeah. And you look at them now, they're top of the Premier League table. It's only 3 games in, but there's a plan there. There's no plan at Manchester United. Casemiro wasn't a plan. It doesn't take a genius scouting department to pick Casemiro. I could have done that. If you'd have come to me and said, find me a world-class central midfielder, I'd have pointed towards Casemiro. I'm not ahead of recruitment or even close to it. Tottenham, Daniel Levy. He got a lot of stick from Spurs fans after the Super League. He's brought in Antonio Conte. He's loosened the purse strings. He spent some money. The Glazers have done none of that. So I think you're right. The only way that this football club can really progress and get back to where they were and compete with the teams that I've just mentioned is under new ownership. And I don't think Manchester United fans, whatever happens between now and September the 1st, could be fooled by that. They can't lose sight of that.
No, I'm loving it. I'm loving what's going on social media. I'm loving what United fans are doing, coming together on this. And, you buy Casemiro, he's world class, and people are like, yeah, Glazers out. Like, even the tweets from Manchester United official account, it's Glazers out because time's had enough. And you make a good point about Arsenal. Fantastic start to the season. For most teams. Everybody just looks prepared on the ball and ready for it. Brighton's, Leeds. Man United are so undercooked, and that's because we haven't bothered to buy anybody over the last few weeks. We've lost the first 2 games of the season, and they think that throwing a £200 million now is going to get people back on board.